Ambassador Gray's hands trembled as he stared at the blue planet through the Star Seeker's viewing window. Earth. The very name sent shivers down his spine. Behind him, 12 representatives from different alien races whispered among themselves, their fear evident in their hushed tones. "Sir," his assistant Tom approached with a data pad, "we're receiving no hostile signals from Earth's defense systems. They're letting us approach." That worried Gray even more. Every simulation, every historical precedent suggested that humans should be attacking them right now. The fact that they weren't meant only one thing. Earth was so powerful, it didn't consider the Star Seeker a threat. "Show me the scans again," Gray ordered, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly in sequence. The holographic display appeared before him, showing readings that defied belief. Earth's technology had advanced far beyond their predictions. The energy signatures alone suggested they had mastered fusion, quantum computing, and most terrifying of all, stable antimatter containment. "They've had FTL capability for at least 20 years, one of the science officers reported. "They've been watching us, studying us, and we never knew." The Star Seeker's bridge fell silent. 20 years. For 2 decades, humans had possessed the ability to reach any Galactic Council world, yet they had chosen to remain quiet, patient, observing. "What do the behavior analysts say?" Gray asked, though he dreaded the answer. Tom pulled up another report. "Based on Earth's history, they show a pattern of devastating response when provoked, but remarkable restraint when treated with respect. The analysts are confused, sir. No other species has shown this level of self-control with their degree of military capability." Through the window, Gray could now see the human ships appearing from behind Earth's moon. Their designs were elegant, efficient, and completely different from anything in the Council's database. No wasted space, no decorative elements, pure function, yet somehow beautiful in their simplicity. "Sir," Tom's voice cracked, "we're being hailed." Gray straightened his ceremonial robes. This moment would determine the fate of 1,000 worlds. "On screen," he commanded. The human who appeared on the display was wearing a simple blue uniform. Admiral Stone, according to the translation software. His calm expression revealed nothing, but Gray could sense the power behind those eyes. "Welcome to Earth, Ambassador Gray," Stone spoke, his words perfectly diplomatic. "We've been expecting you." Of course they had. Gray fought to keep his voice steady. "Admiral Stone, on behalf of the Galactic Council, we come in peace to offer us membership in the Council." Stone's slight smile sent chills through the alien delegation. "To assess whether we're ready for inclusion in galactic society, or perhaps to determine if we pose a threat." The bridge of the Star Seeker went completely still. They hadn't expected this level of directness. Gray struggled to find the right words. "We wish to establish diplomatic relations." "Good," Stone nodded. "We've prepared a meeting facility on our lunar base. Your ship will be given coordinates." And Ambassador. His expression remained perfectly pleasant. "Don't worry about the weapons we know you're carrying. If we considered them a threat, we would have mentioned them." The transmission ended, leaving the alien delegation in stunned silence. Gray looked back at the Earth ships, their sleek forms representing everything the Council feared. A species that had grown powerful in isolation, developed technologies along paths they'd never seen before, and somehow managed to hide their true capabilities from the entire galaxy. "Sir," Tom asked quietly, "what do we do?" Gray took a deep breath. "We follow their instructions, pray they remain peaceful, and hope the Council was right about one thing, that humans can be reasoned with. Because if we're wrong..." He left the thought unfinished. The Star Seeker changed course for the moon, its passengers acutely aware that they weren't so much arriving for a diplomatic meeting as they were being allowed to approach. Humanity had already changed the balance of power in the galaxy, and they hadn't even fired a shot. 3 months earlier, in the central hall of the Galactic Council, chaos erupted as the emergency alarms blared through the massive chamber. Council member Mark rushed through the crowded corridors, his purple skin turning pale as he clutched a data crystal in his hand. "The readings must be wrong," he muttered, pushing past other species to reach the main analysis chamber. Inside, the Council's best scientists were already gathered around the central hologram, their faces showing various signs of distress. The head scientist, Dr. Bob, looked up as Mark entered. "The readings are correct. We've checked them 20 times. He pointed to the swirling display of Earth. 3 of our deep space probes detected massive energy spikes from their solar system. The humans aren't just advancing. They've already advanced." Mark inserted his data crystal into the console, adding his own findings to the display. "Look at this. Our archaeological teams found something on one of their colony worlds." The hologram shifted to show ruins of an ancient alien outpost. But what caught everyone's attention was the evidence of recent human activity. They had been there, studying the ruins, learning from them. "They've reverse-engineered the old tech," Dr. Bob whispered. "But they've done it differently. Look at these energy patterns." He brought up a comparison chart. They didn't just copy the ancient designs, they improved them. Another scientist, Dr. Will, stepped forward. "That's not the worst part." He entered a command, and the hologram showed a series of human satellites. "These aren't just communication devices. They're watchers. The humans have been observing our worlds, learning about us for decades." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humans hadn't just reached space. They had mastered it in ways the Council had never imagined. "How did we miss this?" Mark demanded. Dr. Bob pulled up more data. "Because they wanted us to miss it. Look at these radiation signatures. They've developed technology that masks their energy outputs. Every time we sent a probe near Earth, we saw exactly what they wanted us to see. A developing world still struggling with basic spaceflight. But why?" Someone asked. "Why hide their progress?" Dr. Will's expression was grim. "Because they know their history. Every species that reached this level of technology started a war within 10 years. The humans learned from their past. They grew stronger in secret, watching, waiting." Mark stared at the hologram of Earth. "How powerful are they?" In response, Dr. Bob played a recording from one of their probes. It showed a small human ship in an asteroid field. Without warning, the ship fired a beam of energy that turned an entire asteroid into dust. The recording ended. "That was 3 years ago," Dr. Bob said quietly. "Imagine what they can do now." Mark felt a chill run down his spine. "We need to contact them before." An alarm interrupted him. New data was streaming in. Dr. Will rushed to analyze it, then stepped back in shock. They've been in our computer systems. All this time, they've had access to our databases. They know everything about us." "Impossible," Mark protested. "Our security is based on technology they've already surpassed," Dr. Bob finished. "They didn't hack our systems. They simply understood them better than we do." The scientists and council members looked at each other in growing fear. They had discovered a species that had not only reached their level of advancement, but had quietly surpassed it. A species that had learned about them, studied them, and chosen to remain hidden until now. "We need to send a diplomatic mission immediately," Mark declared. "But we must be careful. If humans are this advanced and still choose peace, then we must do everything possible to keep them peaceful," Dr. Will finished. As the emergency meeting continued, none of them noticed a small, unregistered energy signature near their sensor array. A human probe, watching and recording everything they said, ensuring Earth would be ready for the coming contact. The lunar meeting facility took Ambassador Gray's breath away. Through the massive windows, Earth hung like a blue jewel in the black sky. But it was the room itself that showed humanity's true power. Every surface seemed to be made of impossible materials, metals that shouldn't exist, crystals that glowed with inner light, and technology that his scanners couldn't even begin to understand. "Your facility is impressive," Gray managed to say as Admiral Stone led the delegation into the main conference chamber. This, Stone gestured casually. This is one of our older bases, only about 15 years old. His smile remained pleasant, but his words sent shivers through the alien group. If this was old technology, what did their new facilities look like? The human delegation sat on one side of the large table, while Gray and his team took the other side. Tom, Gray's assistant, nervously activated his data pad to take notes. "Let's begin," Stone said, folding his hands on the table. "You're here to offer Earth membership in the Galactic Council." Gray nodded, trying to hide his nervousness. "Yes, we believe Earth has reached a level of development that makes us too dangerous to ignore." Stone finished. The humans around him showed no reaction, as if this was all expected. "Let's be honest, Ambassador. You're here because you're afraid of what we might do." The alien delegation shifted uncomfortably. Stone continued, "We've known about the Council for 12 years. We've studied your laws, your treaties, your conflicts. We've watched how you handle emerging civilizations." Gray felt his heart skip a beat. You've been watching us. "Just as you've been watching us," another human diplomat spoke up. "Though we've been more successful at it." She slid a data crystal across the table. "This contains proof of 43 Council attempts to slow Earth's development over the past century." The alien delegation froze. Those were supposed to be secret missions, carefully hidden from human detection. "We don't hold it against you," Stone added, his voice still calm. "You were afraid. Every other species that reached our level of technology started a war of expansion. You were trying to protect the galaxy." Gray found his voice. If you knew all this, why didn't you contact us sooner?" For the first time, Stone's smile faded slightly. "Because we needed to be sure we could protect ourselves. Humanity has a long history of violence, Ambassador. We know ourselves. We knew that if we joined galactic society, we needed to be strong enough to resist any temptation to conquer. That's why you hid your advances," Tom whispered, suddenly understanding. "Exactly," Stone nodded. "We chose to master ourselves before revealing our power to others. Your Council's interference actually helped. It gave us time to mature as a species." Gray looked at his data pad, then back at the humans. "Our scans show your technology is far beyond what we thought possible. Your ships are exactly as powerful as we want you to know they are." Stone interrupted gently. "Let's just say that what you've detected is sufficient for this discussion." The meaning was clear. Humans were showing only a fraction of their true capabilities. Gray took a deep breath. "What are your terms for joining the Council?" "We have only one." Stone leaned forward. "Earth maintains its independence. We'll join the Council as equals, not subjects. We'll share some of our advances, help protect developing worlds, but we remain free to defend ourselves as we see fit." The alien delegation looked at each other. They had come to offer Earth membership under strict controls. Instead, humans were dictating terms. "And if we refuse?" Gray asked, though he already knew the answer. Stone's expression remained friendly, but his eyes hardened slightly. "Then we remain as we are, watching, waiting, and hoping the galaxy chooses peace. Because make no mistake, Ambassador," he gestured to the Earth hanging in the window, "we will defend ourselves if needed, and you don't want to see how we do that." Gray looked at the shining blue planet again, understanding finally sinking in. Humans hadn't become peaceful because they were weak. They had become peaceful because they were strong enough to choose peace. After the initial meeting, Admiral Stone invited Ambassador Gray to a smaller room in the lunar facility. The walls here were lined with holographic displays showing various alien worlds, each one marked with data about their development stage. "Do you know why we're showing you this?" Stone asked, gesturing to the displays. Gray shook his head, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "These are developing worlds under Council protection." "Not exactly." Stone touched a control panel, And new information appeared. These are worlds that the Council abandoned, species that reached our level of technology and then destroyed themselves in wars of expansion. Tom, who had insisted on staying with his ambassador, stepped closer to one of the displays. The Council records show that every advanced species started a war. Stone finished. Yes, we know. We studied those records very carefully. That's why we chose a different path. The Admiral walked to the center of the room and activated a larger display. It showed Earth's history, centuries of warfare, destruction, and near disasters. Humans are not naturally peaceful, Stone continued. We fought wars that nearly destroyed our planet. We created weapons that could have wiped out all life. But then we did something unique. We learned from our mistakes. Gray watched as the display showed Earth's development over the past century. But our records show your weapons kept getting more powerful. They did, Stone nodded, but not for the reasons you think. He changed the display to show Earth's defense systems. We built these weapons not to conquer, but to prevent conquest, including from our own worst instincts. Tom's eyes widened. You developed weapons to avoid using them. Exactly. Stone smiled. We call it peace through strength. We became so powerful that war became unthinkable, not just with other worlds, but among ourselves. The display changed again, showing human ships helping primitive worlds, secretly protecting them from natural disasters and outside interference. While your council was watching us, Stone explained, we were watching the younger species, protecting them, guiding them, but never revealing ourselves. We remembered how it felt to be alone in the universe, and we didn't want them to face that fear. Gray moved closer to the display, his diplomatic training forgotten in his amazement. But our analysis showed your technology was decades behind us. Stone's smile widened slightly. Your analysis showed exactly what we wanted it to show. Here's what we really have. He pressed another button. The room filled with new holographic images, technologies far beyond anything the Council had imagined. Engines that bent space itself, weapons that could reshape planets, defensive systems that made human worlds practically invincible. We could have conquered the galaxy years ago, Stone said quietly. We had the power, but we chose not to, because we remembered our history and we decided to break the cycle. Gray felt his legs grow weak. Why show us this now? Because you need to understand. Stone turned to face the ambassador directly. Humanity isn't peaceful because we're weak. We're peaceful because we're strong enough to choose peace, strong enough to protect others without ruling them. Tom looked at the displays again, understanding dawning on his face. The Council's worst fears about humanity's potential were true. But their fears about our intentions were wrong. Stone finished. We don't want to rule the galaxy. We want to help protect it. Gray looked at Earth through the window, seeing it with new eyes. All this time, we thought we were containing a potential threat, when actually, Stone said, you were giving us time to become something better than our past. Your interference forced us to be creative, to advance in ways you never expected. It made us stronger, yes, but it also made us wiser. The room fell silent as the aliens finally understood. Humanity had achieved what no other species had managed. They had gained the power to conquer the galaxy, but had chosen instead to become its hidden guardians. It wasn't fear that would keep humanity peaceful, Gray realized. It was wisdom. And that was far more powerful than any weapon they had created. The emergency alarms blared through the lunar facility, just as Ambassador Gray was preparing to send his report to the Council. On the main display screen, red warning lights flashed around a small human research station at the edge of the solar system. What's happening? Gray asked, watching Admiral Stone and his staff rush into the command center. We're under attack, Stone replied calmly, too calmly for someone whose people were being threatened. A group of ships just appeared near Pluto Research Station. They're using Council weapons, but they're not officially Council forces. The main screen showed 6 warships firing at the small research station. Gray recognized their design. They belonged to the War Faction, a radical group that believed powerful species needed to be eliminated before they became threats. "You have to evacuate your people," Tom shouted, his translator barely keeping up with his panicked words. Stone smiled slightly. "Watch." On the screen, the research station's simple outer shell suddenly shimmered and changed. What had appeared to be a basic research facility transformed, its true form becoming visible. The attacking ship's weapons bounced harmlessly off its shields. "Did you really think we'd leave any human facility unprotected?" Stone asked quietly. The station sent out a single pulse of energy. All 6 attacking ships froze in space, their engines dead, their weapons powerless. "No casualties," one of the human officers reported. "The enemy ships have been disabled. Their crews are unharmed but contained." Gray stared in amazement. That was meant to be a surprise attack. They should have had the advantage. "They did have the advantage." Stone nodded. "Against what they thought we were." He turned to his staff. "Send in the diplomatic ships. Let's talk to our uninvited guests." 3 human vessels appeared from what seemed to be empty space. They had been there all along, Gray realized, invisible and waiting. Each one was smaller than the attacking ships, but somehow far more intimidating in their sleek, efficient design. "Please," Gray found himself speaking, "show restraint. They're foolish, but—" "Ambassador," Stone interrupted gently, "if we wanted them destroyed, they would be atoms by now. That's not our way." On the screen, the human ships extended glowing fields around each attacker, beginning a careful towing operation. "Do you understand now?" Stone asked, turning to Gray. "We could have built deadlier weapons. We could have made ships that would vaporize enemies in an instant. Instead, we created tools that let us end conflicts without death. Because true power isn't about how much damage you can do. It's about how much damage you can avoid doing." The alien delegation watched in stunned silence as the human ships easily managed the situation. No shots fired, no lives lost, just a quiet display of overwhelming technological superiority. "What will happen to them?" Tom asked nervously. "They'll be questioned, then returned to Council space," Stone explained, "along with evidence of their actions and proof that they acted without Council approval. We know this wasn't an official attack." Gray felt a chill run down his spine. "You're being merciful to avoid war with the Council." Stone's expression became serious. "We're being merciful because that's what strong civilizations do, Ambassador. Peace isn't just the absence of war. It's the presence of wisdom." As they watched the human ships efficiently handle the situation, Gray understood something that would change the galaxy forever. Humanity hadn't just surpassed other species in technology. They had evolved beyond the need for violent solutions. They had learned to be powerful without being cruel, to be strong without being destructive. "Send your report to the Council, Ambassador," Stone suggested. "Tell them what you've seen. Tell them that humanity stands ready to join galactic society. Not as conquerors, but as protectors. Because that's the choice we made long ago, and it's the choice we make again today." After the crisis, Admiral Stone invited Ambassador Gray and Tom to a secure level of the lunar base that even most humans didn't know existed. As they walked through the doorway, the room lit up to reveal hundreds of holographic planets floating in the air. "What is this place?" Gray asked, his eyes trying to take in all the information displayed around them. "We call it the Guardian Room," Stone answered, walking to the center. "Each of these lights represents a developing civilization we're protecting. Some haven't even discovered spaceflight yet. Others are just beginning to explore their solar systems." Tom moved closer to one of the holograms. "This planet, there was a massive asteroid heading toward it last year. It mysteriously broke apart before impact." "Yes," Stone smiled. "That was us. We had ships in the area. They used gravity beams to break up the asteroid without the natives ever knowing they were in danger." Gray walked through the display, amazement clear on his face. You've been protecting them all, without them knowing. Just like someone protected us, long ago. Stone pressed a button, and a new hologram appeared. It showed ancient Earth, with strange objects in orbit. We found records of other civilizations watching over humanity during our darkest times. They never revealed themselves, but they were there, helping from the shadows. But the Council's records don't show. Tom began. These weren't Council races, Stone interrupted. They were far older. They left us messages in places we would only find once we were ready. They taught us that great power comes with great responsibility. The room shifted again, showing various human ships stationed near developing worlds. Each ship was hidden by advanced cloaking technology, silently watching and protecting. After we found those messages, Stone continued, we made a choice. We would do for others what had been done for us. We would protect, but not interfere. Guide, but not control. Gray watched as one hologram showed a human ship secretly diverting a solar flare from a primitive world. Your technology, it's not just advanced. It's focused on preservation, on protection. Exactly. Stone nodded. We could have built an empire. Instead, we built a guardian fleet. Every major breakthrough in our technology was aimed at becoming better protectors, not better conquerors. Tom studied another display showing human ships tracking illegal mining operations near developing worlds. You've been stopping exploitation of these planets. Yes, sometimes by council members, sometimes by independent groups. Stone's expression grew serious. We've had to remain hidden to do this work effectively. If everyone knew Earth was protecting these worlds, they would become targets. But now we know, Gray said quietly. Now you know, Stone agreed. Because it's time for the galaxy to understand that there's a better way. The Council believes peace must be enforced through rules and threats. We believe it must grow naturally, through protection and guidance. The display changed one final time, showing the results of their protection. Dozens of young civilizations growing safely, developing without interference, learning and advancing at their own pace. This is why we remained hidden for so long, Stone explained. Not because we were afraid, but because we had work to do. Important work that required secrecy. Gray looked at his own homeworld, displayed among the others. The Council. We always thought we were the guardians of peace in the galaxy. You tried to be, Stone said kindly, but you tried to create peace through control. We learned a different way. Peace through protection, through quiet guidance, through letting others grow while keeping them safe from the shadows. As they stood among the holograms of countless developing worlds, Gray finally understood the truth. Humanity hadn't evolved beyond violence. They had evolved beyond the need for recognition. They had become powerful enough to help others without seeking praise or control. Your people, Gray said slowly, are not what we imagined at all. No, Stone agreed. We're what we chose to be. And now we're offering the galaxy a chance to make the same choice. 1 year later, Ambassador Gray stood before the full Galactic Council chamber. The massive room was packed with representatives from every council race, all waiting to hear Earth's formal response to their membership offer. But this time, there was no fear in the air, only anticipation. Admiral Stone walked to the center of the chamber, his simple blue uniform standing out among the elaborate robes of the council members. Behind him, the new human embassy staff took their places, each wearing the same understated uniforms that had become a symbol of Earth's quiet confidence. Members of the council, Stone began, his voice carrying through the chamber. 1 year ago, you offered Earth membership because you feared what we might become. Today, we accept your offer, not because of fear, but because of hope. The chamber erupted in murmurs as Stone activated a holographic display. It showed dozens of worlds that Earth had secretly protected over the years, now thriving and developing safely. We've shared our defense technology with the Council, Stone continued. Not our weapons, but our shields, our early warning systems, our protective capabilities. Because true strength lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the power to preserve. Gray watched from his seat as the council members studied the display. Many of them had initially opposed giving Earth so much independence, but the past year had proven humanity's wisdom. Under the new treaty, Stone explained, Earth will leave the Council's Protection Division. We will continue our work as guardians, but now we do it openly, with your support. Tom, now Earth's junior ambassador, activated another display showing the new joint fleet. Council ships had been upgraded with human defensive technology, creating a force dedicated to peace and protection rather than war. Already, 17 developing civilizations have been saved from natural disasters they never knew threatened them. Stone reported. 32 attempts at illegal exploitation have been stopped, and not a single life was lost in any of these operations. The council leader stood, her ancient face showing rare emotion. Earth has shown us a new way. We feared their power, but they taught us how to use power wisely. Stone nodded respectfully. Because we remember our own history. We remember the ancient guardians who watched over us, who taught us through example that great civilizations protect rather than dominate. The display changed again, showing the new Galactic Academy, where humans were teaching other species their philosophy of peaceful strength. Young officers from every council race trained together, learning to be guardians rather than warriors. The galaxy is changing, Stone continued, not through conquest or control, but through understanding and protection. Earth joins the Council today as equals, not because we demanded it, but because we proved ourselves worthy of trust. Gray stood to make his own speech. 1 year ago, I came to Earth believing I would find a threat to the galaxy. Instead, I found its protectors. I found a species that had mastered not just technology, but wisdom. The chamber filled with approving sounds as Gray continued. They could have built an empire. Instead, they built a shield around every developing world. They could have conquered us. Instead, they taught us to be better than our fears. Stone raised his hand, and the displays merged to show the galaxy as Earth saw it, not as territory to be controlled, but as life to be protected. This is the new era we choose, not one of weapons and wars, but of guardians and guidance. Not of empires and fear, but of cooperation and hope. As the council chamber erupted in approval, Gray looked at the humans standing proudly but humbly before them. They had changed the galaxy not through force, but through example. They had proven that true power lay not in the ability to take life, but in the choice to protect it. The message that had terrified the council a year ago, that humanity was more powerful than they imagined, had become a source of hope. Because humans had done what no other species had managed, they had become strong enough to choose peace, wise enough to guide without controlling, and humble enough to protect without seeking praise. A new age had begun, and this time, no one was afraid.